Good evening. I show 7 o'clock and notice the presence of a quorum, so I would ask for us all to rise for Reverend Dill to provide an invocation seat.
Pray with me, if you will. God, we give you thanks for this day. We give you thanks for those that worked so hard during the snow and inclement weather to help people and to make that safe. We ask that tonight that we would be able to think and reason and do what we need to do that's in the best interest of all the people concerned. We give you thanks for the opportunity to do that. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. First item on the agenda is a proclamation, but in order to explain the proclamation, I would like for Chief Thompson, if you would just come up and tell us about the gentleman you have with us tonight.
Thank you, Council, Mayor, Administrator. Throughout the season this year, this is the fourth year that we have done Shop with a Cop. Every year it gets a little bit larger every year. This year, the Punishers North Chapter Motorcycle Club sponsored us this year. Throughout the season, they were able to raise over $25,000 for our program. That's huge. Yeah. And nothing in return. So I requested to bring some of them in and honor them tonight just for helping us in the town. We have fixed up a plaque for them to show the appreciation that we have for them. This season allowed us to sponsor Shop with a Cop with 40 kids. They not only conducted bucket drives for us throughout the season, but also partnered up with us and shopped with those kids. At this time, I'd like to honor them and appreciate them with this plaque.
Very good. If you would permit me, I'll read this proclamation into the record. And if you gentlemen would like to join us up front, that'd be great afterwards. Whereas the mayor and town council would like to publicly recognize the North Chapter South Carolina Punishers, for their dedication and partnership with the Central Police Department. And whereas through their selfless acts, they took the lead role in raising over $25,000 for our Shop with a Cop for the 2024 season. And whereas this allowed the town of Central Police Department to sponsor and shop with 40 children. And whereas they not only conducted the bucket drives, they also partnered up with the Central Police Department to help shop with these children. And now, therefore, the mayor, members of the town council, the town administrator, and the community of the town of Central would like to publicly thank the North Chapter South Carolina Punishers for their service and dedication. Thank you very much.
Mayor, you want to come down for the picture?
Sure.
And y'all, anybody wants to take a picture, you can come up and get as close as you can get.
That's way more than any Christmas my kids are being.
All right, everybody hold your pose. All right, everybody done?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
I move that we accept the proclamation as read into the record.
I second that motion.
Motion on the table is to adopt the proclamation as written. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. You will notice on section 9 of our agenda, there is a long list of items. And when you read those items and numbers and all this stuff, it really doesn't explain what we're talking about. So that's why we've asked Michael Foreman, who we work with to help manage this project with us, to come and give a presentation on the 18-mile road development before we consider annexation and zoning.
Thank you, Mr.
Mr.
Mayor.
Foreman.
Members of council. As you mentioned, this project is before you all tonight. There's a couple different items on the agenda that you will be considering. They're both independent of each other, but yet they are sort of inextricably intertwined in that it's an annexation request, and then there's the zoning requests that go with those annexation requests. So I sent you all a staff report last week. I hope you had the opportunity to look at that. I'm not going to read this thing word for word, but what I am going to do is just kind of hit some of the highlights of that staff report, just so we all have an idea of where we are in the process and what we can expect moving forward. So this is the second time that y'all have seen this general area before you. This is part of the 18-mile planned unit development. The area sort of up towards the top right-ish was phase 1. That was approved last year by council and subsequently has gone a couple additional steps since then. Final development plan was approved at the end of last year. They should be moving forward on the next step would be a design plan for that for staff review here upcoming soon. Phases 2 through 7 are what is in front of you guys tonight, at least first reading of phases 2 through 7. So what they are requesting is similar to the last one, similar to that phase 1. This will be an addendum to the plan development. It's a little bit different because they also have some general commercial zoning built into the project as well. So you'll be seeing quite a few different numbers and quite a few different things, but ultimately they're moving everything. We're requesting to move everything forward starting tonight. So as I mentioned, this annexation request was turned into the town, given to the town on December 31st. This will be first reading of that. As part of the request, as I mentioned, it's about 450 acres total. About 399 and change is requesting the PUD, as I mentioned, the 18-mile PUD. About 55 acres general commercial. The general commercial is located a little bit basically on Highway 88 to the far east, and then some areas in the middle as well. For the plan, you have to. Fortunately or unfortunately, you have to go through a similar but different process when you approve a plan development and when you approve general commercial for zoning. The annexation would essentially go the same route. We're lumping everything in together because that's the request that's made before y'all tonight. So you're going to see some different things along the way that they're going to have to do for the PUD side of things that they won't have to do for the general commercial side of things and vice versa. As far as details of the project, I will go ahead and read this section verbatim just because I think this is pretty important for y'all to hear word for word. So as I mentioned, the subject properties are located at the corner of 18 Mile Road near the intersection of SC Highway 88. They're located both in unincorporated Pickens County and a portion in unincorporated Anderson County. Some of these requests for annexation and zoning are intended to amend the 18-mile plan development, specifically by adding a phase 2. As a reminder, phase 1, as I mentioned, of the 18-mile plan development was approved by town council in 2024. It's currently moving through the staff review process before earth-moving activities may commence. Phase 1 of the 18-mile plan development was approved for up to 293 residential units. Phase 2 of the 18-mile plan development, as shown, development areas 2 through 7, as I mentioned, is proposing to add up to 2,470 residential units and up to 115,000 square feet of commercial space. This is at full build out, so this is important. It's a big number. It's important to understand that's at full build out. That could be a decade away, not necessarily anytime soon. And that's the top number. That's the top shelf number, so nothing can go above that. As I mentioned, the additional pertinent information is available on that preliminary development plan that was attached as part of your packet. And going back to the timing for a second, phase 1 is proposed as per the developer. Phase 1, which was that first 293 units, the proposed closeout should be within 36 to 48 months. Phase 2 build out is proposed to proceed based on market conditions and infrastructure availability, among other conditions. As I mentioned earlier, no full build-out timeline has been provided as at the time of the staff report. So that's an important point, is that we don't know the full build-out. We don't know the timeline of the full build-out. It's not going to happen tomorrow. There are a lot of steps that have to occur before that can occur. Preliminary public improvements proposed as part of this development include construction of an extensive network of public roadways, including sidewalks, significant common areas and open space, comprehensive stormwater management, public water, and sewerage. Timing and phasing of all improvements are subject to availability of adequate water supply, sewer collection, schools, garbage collection, police, and fire protection. So note, the request before council tonight constitute the first step in a long and multi-level partnership between the town and the developer. The preliminary plan as provided is highly conceptual in nature. As such, further details must be provided as the project continues forward. And I do reference some major project steps, and I'll get into that in a little bit more detail here in a second. But again, it's important to point out what you see before you tonight is conceptual in nature. They are providing us with this information as this is the first step in the process. They have to show the town what they ultimately would like to see in a best case scenario. And the town, as a partner, will move forward with them in that regard. They're going to multiple steps along the way to ensure that the ultimate goal is achieved. But as a first step, this is the first step, and it is conceptual in nature. So again, there's two separate things that you are going to be hearing tonight. The first is for the annexation requests totaling 455.5 acres. These are shown and described on a survey via a survey that was provided as part of the packet. And then secondly, the request for zonings, and within that zoning, they're broken down into two separate classifications, as mentioned, described in greater detail on the preliminary plan that was submitted. Again, 399.35 acres to PUD. Which is to be amendment to the 18-mile plan development that was approved last year, and then 55.72 acres to general commercial. Major next steps moving forward. So assuming it gets approved tonight, the major steps moving forward are also included as part of the staff report. So the big next step would be a public hearing and a review of the zoning requests only for the Planning Commission. That would be on the 23rd. That meeting is set for the 23rd for a public hearing. So the public will have an opportunity at that point as well to make comment. Planning Commission makes the recommendation on the zoning request. It comes back to y'all for second reading. Upon approval at second reading, the areas become annexed into the town. And then the zoning, essentially the zoning map is amended to show those requests. So the zoning map with the pretty colors that we have for the town, the PUD will be added, the general commercial will be added, and that'll be the official zoning map moving forward for that property. And after the second reading, there will be some additional steps as well, depending on whether or not it's zoned PD or whether or not it's zoned general commercial, so those two separate zoning classifications. For the PD side, the Planning Commission, again, will have to review the final development, which is what we call the final development plan. It's essentially the final zoning plan that locks in. That will be similar to this, but it will lock in what they are going to be building. So that will give the town an exact idea of what is coming into and from that point on, if they make any major changes to it, it has to go back through the process again. So that's the point where they lock in exactly what they're looking to do. This is, again, is much more conceptual in nature. If approved for the final development plan, they would then come back for preliminary subdivision review, and that's part of the land development regulations, or the LDR. That would be anytime you cut lines on a piece of property, that's a subdivision of the property. If you subdivide more than a certain amount of properties, it has to go through the Planning Commission. So the Planning Commission has to review it, has to have a public meeting, has public input as well to ensure that it's done properly. So that will have to come back for all the subdivision portions of this project. That will come back again through the Planning Commission. And then from that point on, staff review essentially does the remainder of the reviews. It would be final design plat, which is where we are, final design plan, excuse me, which is where we are for phase one, and the final plat for the subdivision. So once they get the final plat approved, then they can give that to the county for recordation, and they can sell those properties off at that point. They can't do that until they get that final approval. For the commercial, for the general commercial, it's a little bit different. They don't have to go through the same development plan requirements. They do have to provide a plan and have it approved by staff at the staff level, and that would be more for zoning approval. If they do end up subdividing the properties, then they would have to go through the subdivision process. But essentially, for a general commercial, typically that's not. It doesn't have the same procedures, so it's a little bit different. But there will be additional review for commercial as well. So that's a very long-winded way of saying this is the first step in a very long process. And that's what y'all will be reviewing tonight. I'd be happy to answer any additional questions that you have.
If I may, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, Mr. Foreman, but just for the information of the citizens of town, anybody that's watching the live stream or anybody that's here, can you explain your role in all this process and how that came about, and just go through your credentials and tell us all who you are?
Sure. Yeah. So my role in this is essentially to provide staff level review for the project as a whole. Essentially, this I believe is the largest project in the town's history. Mr. Michaud asked me to step in and provide a little bit of guidance for the town to ensure that the process is handled correctly and efficiently as we move along through these additional steps. A little bit about myself. I've been doing this for about 20 years now. I spent the first half of my career in Anderson County. Was the planning director there for the last few years. I spent a little time in the city of Travelers Rest as their planning director. I've been doing this on my own now for about 6 years, going on my 7th year. I've worked with communities all throughout the state, large and small, as big as Greenville County, helped them with write their comprehensive plan, down to the town of Inman, helped them out with a few projects here recently. So I think I have a little bit of, I'd like to think I have a little bit of experience with these kinds of projects. I've worked with plan developments for the majority of the 20 years that I've been doing this. So I'm excited to work with y'all on this project. I think it's a great project. I know the developers have been, the applicants have been great to work with to this point. They're more than willing to consider different things, different ways of doing things, and I've been more than open with the town up to this point.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Foreman? Please.
First off, Mr. Foreman, thank you so much for the report. That was
Yes, sir.
great. I appreciated getting that early and being able to go through it. It also led me to a few questions.
Sure.
So, throughout you say staff review of, after staff review of something like that, who is staff?
That would either be myself or Ms. Visage.
Okay, okay. I have two more questions, I guess. On the project details that you sort of read to us, one says preliminary public improvements proposed as part of development, construction, extensive network, public roadways, sidewalks, common area. That paragraph,
Yes, sir.
that's all concerning what's internal, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's not addressing 18 Mile Road or getting in and out of,
No, it would.
that-
Yeah. So it would address the ingress and egress to the development from 18 Mile and from Highway 88.
it would include
Yes, sir.
that? Okay, because a lot of people are concerned that there's not enough space on those roads and it's gonna, that there need to be turn lanes and all that kind of
And a
stuff. So-
four-way stop is.
Right,
Yeah.
or a four-way stop or those kinds of things. And so that's included there.
Yes, sir. That will be
Okay.
part of the review and that will be part of the discussions.
Okay. And the other thing, you probably said this and I just didn't hear it, but when you're talking about the next steps, there's a public hearing that would happen with the planning commission, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then there would be an additional public hearing that would be before this body.
Yes, sir.
So I just want to point it out that there are multiple layers or areas for people to be able to speak or to present their ideas or concerns or whatever they may want to.
Yes, sir. There are.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
It's good questions. Any further questions from council? Thank you again.
Thank you.
Very comprehensive. Thank you for that. I appreciate the time. Very good. Next item on the agenda are public session for 30 minutes total. Members of the town are welcome to speak. I have Samantha Wood. Welcome. Come on up.
Hello,
Hi there.
I'm Samantha Wood. I know most of you. I am a business owner here, and I'm here to talk about a couple things as a representation, I guess, from the small business owners in downtown, the Main Street Central organization, which encompasses the buildings along the businesses along Main Street, as well as those just off. Like I own a business on Broad Street. And there's a couple things. This year has been kind of difficult for our businesses. We've lost a couple of businesses. My business has been down 20% from 2023. I came here, started my business 2 years ago. I was actually looking for a building 4 years ago in the town of Central. I was really excited by the things that the Central Main Street organization had planned. And so me and my business partner were really excited to bring our business into Central rather than Clemson or Pickens. But a couple things that we continuously really need support in is the vacancy situation to bring more businesses to more people to downtown Central. I know when I was looking for a spot 4 years ago, that would have been 4 years worth of town council meetings ago. The same vacant buildings are still vacant. I personally wrote letters to each and every one of those building owners when I was looking for a spot, asking them to either rent or sell their property to me, and was not able to negotiate anything with any of them. Luckily, I was able to purchase a spot from the town of Central, and I've invested over $200,000 in my building and upgrades and the renovation of that building now. And I really would like to see my investment help Central grow, but currently that's not happening. And we can have a hospital, we can have 2,000 homes, but if there's people in those homes are not stopping, if they don't have a reason to stop in downtown Central, then it's not going to help us. We have plenty of cars drive through Central now, and they don't stop, and that's not helping any of our downtown businesses. We have to get more businesses to downtown. I know there's a couple of ordinances that you guys have on the books to fine people who own buildings, and those buildings are still vacant. They've either they're not receiving the fines, or the fines are not an incentive to do anything because they're not willing to rent those buildings and to work with Main Street Central in order to bring businesses downtown. So that's first of all, we have got to get businesses into all of those vacant spots in downtown. The second is we've got to have a walkable downtown, and I know that's on the master plan that you guys have been working on for probably 4 years as well, if not longer. But we really need a centralized parking spot and a series of sidewalks for people to park, get out, go have lunch, walk to the visit the businesses they pass along that way, and to make, and to have a reason to go into different places and to be able to cross the railroad tracks and be able to get out and walk around and have sidewalks to explore. So those are really the two things that the businesses in downtown Central really need. We have got to get more businesses, and we can't do it unless we have a spot for them to come to. And we've got to make it more accessible for cars to park and for people to walk around and enjoy an afternoon in Central.
Thank you.
Thank
you very much. Mr. Barry.
Good evening, Mayor,
Good
Council,
evening.
Mr. Administrator. I just want to first say, hey, good job with the ice and stuff on the sidewalks, getting that stuff cleaned up from this weekend. It was a really good job. You guys do a good job of taking care of Central as well as you do. Thank you to Lynn and Mayor for getting the community engagement meetings going. Now we just got to follow through with everything on there. Next one will be coming up next week. Michael Foreman, appreciate it. Great work you're doing. I think that's something that's definitely needed. One of the things, and I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, I've had comments to that effect. that I'm not playing the same game as y'all are, and you know I've been on that side of the table. So I do take exception to that. I'm just trying to make sure that the residents of Central know what's going on. You know, that part of that's a community engagement. I mean, I'm not on council and I field calls every week. Or bumping into people in stores. I'm not on the council anymore. They don't want to talk to you because they get the same runaround every time. Okay? I need you to, the things going on, and I think Mr. Youngblood is here, and I'd like to yield some of my time to him after I get done, because I know his name wasn't on the sign-in sheet. But I'd like to see that with those developments, and Mr. Dill touched on it with the traffic planning and stuff, SCDOT, is there anybody from SCDOT here? Doesn't have a clue how to estimate traffic, okay? We know that from the Lawson Road project. We know that from other traffic studies that have been done here in Central. So we need to make sure those studies get done properly and with good estimates. The estimate I saw originally for 18 Mile Road was a bunch of bunk. Okay? On the provisions for the 18 Mile Road development in ANMED, an access road around ANMED was going to be an egress to the 18 Mile Road PUD. That's not a road. That's an exit from a parking lot from a major hospital. Okay, but it was in the traffic study that that was going to be a road. So yes, DOT has to be pushed to give you all real numbers, real clear estimates that make sense. They're not just some pipe dream from a 30-year-old veteran who's getting ready to retire and he's using 30-year-old numbers. Okay, this is 2025. We got to move forward. We got to look at the things that are actually happening. 18 Mile Road, when there's not a game, when there's not anything going on, is crazy busy. You start adding 1,200 units of housing, a major hospital, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, it has to be probably a 4-lane road. Okay? I want y'all to please try to stay as transparent as possible. And it was brought up last week at the work session. Please don't be afraid to use the words pause. Or the real bad one that I know I've talked with Philip before and he hates it, moratorium. They have to be used when possible so that the infrastructure and the planning by the town and by the DOT can get caught up. Okay, I've heard from DOT, they're always the last player in on this, and they find out after the fact what they're supposed to be doing in order to help make these things work. So we got to make sure everybody's on board and we're all on the same page. And that's all I got. I really appreciate the job you guys do. I know it's thankless at times, and you get people like me who come up here and say, come on, guys. But I appreciate it, I really do. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Doug.
Okay. Receipt and disposition of petitions, anything to be made aware of this evening?
There is some, you're going to be voting on the petition that we received on December 31st. It's on your agenda now. There is another petition concerning 111 Coker Circle. That property owner is requesting a variance through the BZA, so they will be addressing that variance. I did want to point out you skipped over number 3 on the agenda.
Oh, thank you. Let's go back to number 3. We had a chance to look at the council meeting minutes from December 9th in our packets during work session last week. That is on the agenda this evening to adopt. I will entertain a motion to that effect.
I move that we adopt regular council meeting minutes of 12/9/2024.
Motion on the table is to adopt regular council meeting minutes from December 9th, 2024. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand, please. Motion carries. Thank you. Now we'll get back on track here. Report from council committees. Planning, Ms. Bowers, please.
Planning will meet on Thursday, the 23rd, at 6:30 here. And the BZA is hearing the variance the same evening at 6. That's all I have to report.
Thank you. Any questions for planning? Streets and Public Safety, Mr. Moss.
I'd like to report that the fire department has covered 552 calls this past year, as well as the police department has come close to 2,000 calls this past year. And we'll have a police advisory board meeting this Thursday at 6:30. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Streets and Public Safety? Enterprise Community Engagement, Ms. Chapman.
Yes, I'm gonna do the water, sewer, and sanitation report first. For the month of December, the water and sewer department completed 103 work orders. The meters were read on December 18th. Rechecks were done on the 19th, and disconnects were done December 30th. 44 customers were disconnected for non-payment, and of those, 26 reconnected. The sanitation department, excuse me, the sanitation department, both residential and commercial, ran normal schedules for the month of December, with the exception of Wednesday, December 25th, in observance of the Christmas holiday. Routes will resumed normal schedules on December 26th. And the community engagement meeting is this coming Thursday, the 23rd of January. It will be at White Oak Springs Missionary Baptist Church at 7 o'clock. And I hope to see everyone there.
Very good. And that's this Thursday.
Next Thursday.
Okay.
Next Thursday.
I thought I heard that wrong, or heard that right, and my brain just didn't translate it the right way. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Any questions for Enterprise Community Engagement? Recreation, Mr. Dill, sir.
Yes, our youth basketball leagues are underway. We have 53 teams participating this
Jeez.
year. If you can remember back when we added the addition to the gym, and talked about would we need that or was it necessary or not, good gracious, it's necessary. 53 teams, regular season games will end late February, and we will be hosting the district tournament. That'll be February 29th through March 7th. The indoor recreation port is enclosed separately. Two other things I'd just like to mention. One is that our Parks and Rec team, along with Clemson's Parks and Rec team, sponsored bingo this past Thursday for senior citizens at the rec center. They provided a lunch for them from Your Pie and had it decorated. It was great. They played bingo, gave away prizes. Tom Clore, Mike Spearman, Kevin Schmidt did a great job of putting that on. A lot of happy, fun people there. How many?
We had, I think it was 102 seniors.
Okay, I thought it was right at 100. So, and then the next one is February 13th, I believe it is. And if you're a senior, come. If you're not a senior, come and help and hang out. It's fun. And you have a great time with that. This is not part of my report, but on Friday morning, I was coming back from my Friday breakfast meeting, and I was driving through downtown, and I saw guys out salting the sidewalks, putting out all the stuff. Anyway, just in preparation of the snow that was coming later that day. And again, it just made me thankful that people plan and take care of, and we're doing all that for the downtown area and for all the other things that they did. I just appreciate all that everybody does to make this a good place. That's my report.
Very good. Any questions for recreation? Finance and Marketing, Mr. Peak.
Thank you, sir. The financial report for Central, the general fund currently has a balance of $649,261.33 compared to the balance at the end of November. This is a decrease of $172,938.40. This is a 23.51% decrease from November to December's account balance. The enterprise funds currently have these following balances. The water account for December had a deficit of $27,678. For the year, we currently have a surplus of $25,375. For the month, it was a decrease of 70.58% from November to the current month. The sewer account for December had a deficit of $6,550. For the year, we currently have a surplus of $73,749. For the month, we had a decrease of 8.5% from November to December. And the sanitation account for December had a surplus of $350. For the year, we currently have a surplus of $34,239, which is an increase of 1.03%. And that's all I have, sir.
Good. Any questions for Finance? Tourism and Economic Development, Mr. Griffin, sir.
Yes, sir. Catherine is now working on the bands for the upcoming First Friday concerts at the Depot, and they will run March, April, and May. She's also coordinating the Easter egg hunt, which right now is set for April the 5th, and with more information on that to come. The Unity in the Community will be April 12th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Bowling Field. Catherine is holding a downtown merchant meeting on January 27th at 5:30 p.m. at the Depot. The Sanders and Company Car Show will be May 24th, Memorial Day weekend on Main Street from 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. And that's all I have.
Any questions for Tourism and Economic Development? Very good. Yeah. Moving right along with new business. Ms. Wormuth, you're here to talk to us about Wreaths Across America again this year.
I am. And Jane Collins, my co-coordinator, location coordinator, is here with me.
Ms. Collins, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
So we'd like to ask Tom Clure, Chief Thompson, and Chief Reynolds to come up here for just a moment. So the largest cemetery here in town is Mount Zion. I think, can you hear me? Is Mount Zion, 277 veterans. And Tom has been supporting us every year since 2020 with running the sound system, getting things all set up so we could have a successful program. And this year, somehow we didn't have the police and fire there that have helped. They put in fire trucks so people would know where to go. So they're zipping right by the cemetery, doing probably a U-turn or something. Anyway, so Tom saw the need and quickly called fire and police, and they sent people over it. It was fantastic as always. So for 2025, they will be asked way ahead. It's December 13th, so mark your calendars. We'd like to see all of you there. So we have a certificate of appreciation. Take care.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you. And can we just get a real quick picture of this view? I'm gonna put this, as you all know, the Journal supports us every year with a quarter-page color ad that runs several times. We don't pay anything for it, and they try and help us and others raise funds.
Thank you for all that.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
The other thing is, when the truck, the 18-wheeler came to drop off the 93 boxes that are 12 wreaths in a box now, so they are super heavy. So Tom came and we numbered them all, and he called in a crew of people throughout the town. Some people had a little bit extra time. We unloaded that truck. Last year it took us, what, an hour? Horrible. It was awful. So we improved the process. And the truck pulled in, opened the door, the boxes were unloaded. Pastor Oglesby helped sort them out because we had it all. And the truck left 20 minutes later. So we didn't take a lot of town resources. Obviously, everybody was on call, but we just couldn't do this program without the town's help. All right, so I sent you all an email. Then I have revised it to give you a couple updated things. And as of this morning, I found out we had missed a cemetery, and it turns out it's the oldest, and it's down near Central Academy of Arts. It's actually on Mr. Lewis Peterson's land now, but Al Cumby and Greg Rice, Duckett Robinson told me the graves there are from the 1800s. I don't know how many veterans there are there. Al said, probably a lot. I have no idea what that means. I said, how big is the cemetery? He said, kind of big. So Janie and I will be out trucking around trying to find, along with Ann Sheriff's help. So we will find out who is there as best we can to honor those veterans as well. So, and we're coming along with wreaths. So here's my question. I know you've got a lot on your agenda, so I'm not going to read, other than tell you remind you that every penny that goes toward wreath sponsorship goes right into wreaths. The other things you see, the advertising, is through the Journal. Any business cards we hand out, anything like that, it's all done out of donations. So, and then at the end of the year, if there are extra wreaths, so this year we used 1,041. I'm actually projecting and talking with Heather Cumby that we lost over 50 veterans last year. So I'm projecting we're going to need 1,090 wreaths, and we're well on our way to making that a reality. I listed the 2024 sponsors. I'm not going to read them all. I don't know how this works, whether they can just be added in as opposed to me reading it into your agenda so you would know. Many of those people have signed up again to help out. And then on the second page of the report, I give you a breakdown of the different cemeteries and how 2023, 2024, and then we'll add the new one, and let me see. So we're coming before you. We had an opportunity because of our relationship with the JROTCs, and please note, Daniel High School JROTC unit was color guard for Memory Garden, where Janie was, and had that ceremony, up at at 10, up at Mount Zion at noon, and then went over to Lawrence Chapel on Sunday. The other units in Pickens County had other commitments. There was some kind of contest going. But they really went above and beyond. And tomorrow afternoon, they're going to bring some of the cadets, and they're going to pick up all the wreaths at Memory Gardens, all 522. Department of Natural Resources will come at 4:30, help out, and they'll take them away, tie them together, and then they sink them in the lake so that they can be a habitat. Jessica Martin is sending her crew, and they're going to pick up all the other cemeteries, all other 9 cemeteries, and they will go out to the goat farmers, and the ducks nest in them, and the chickens nest in them, and so that everything is pretty much recycled. The ribbons are never recycled, unless somebody asks us, can they take ribbons? And if they ask us if they can have the wreaths to have the wires, we give them away, of course. And so we're asking you for $510 because Robin Broom...
It's less than last year.
Much less than last year, yes. Well, and Robin Broom's financial services clients every year have a Christmas dinner, and they pick a charity, and then they give them checks. Well, because we are affiliated with one of the units, JROTC units here, the commander called me and said, Ann, this man's going to call you, and he wants you to come and talk for about 10 minutes about Wreaths Across America. And then they'll probably give you some money. So I figured, okay, and I'd walk away with maybe, I thought maybe $500, $1,600 they gave us in checks. That's a one-time deal. We will never be asked back. It turns out there were two other Wreaths Across America groups. One was the Dolly Cooper, which has 4,000 veterans. Another one was over in Easley, and they have, I don't know how many veterans. So that's our one shot, and they really helped us out, which is nice because then we'll be able to bank wreaths, going forward. So, I don't know, do you have anything more to add?
Just thank you.
We are so grateful. And the other thing is, we really like having the council there, and we appreciate your help in publicizing it, putting things on the website for us. And this year we had kind of a unique situation. We've gone through a lot of veterans having them sit in those wreath presenter chairs. A lot of the JOTC cadets have learned how you do it, how they do it at Arlington, and presenting wreaths and giving coins that are unique to our town. And so this year we ended up having family members of veterans that are no longer with us sit in chairs. And over at Abel, when they had their ceremony, some of the veterans, people they thought were going to be there weren't. So they put children in chairs because part of this is teaching children that sacrifices are made. So these little kids stood up and they did what the adults did with presenting a wreath, and they were doing it in honor of a veteran in their family, and just beamed. They're just so adorable. So that's our report. Do you have any questions for us?
Thank you for everything you do.
Well,
You and Janie both.
It's our honor, and it's really nice to be able to say to people that every veteran we are aware of, and Ann Sheriff's helps us out, and she's the one that alerted me to that new cemetery, that all the Central veterans are honored. And we are so blessed to be able to do that, say their names out loud. There's an effort underway at Mount Zion to make sure we don't miss any veterans up there at all, because a lot of them, they don't have family members here anymore. So, okay? Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
I move that the town provide a donation of $510 to the Wreaths Across America organization.
I second that.
Motion on the table is to provide $510 to the Wreaths Across America organization. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Got them all. That motion carries.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor
Thank
and
you.
council. And so Susan and I will work tomorrow to get that in because the matching program ends on the 17th, and we want to get it in early, like all the checks I received are already en route, so
Very good.
thank you.
Thank you. Going to move into the list of new ordinances, policies, proclamation, and resolutions. Just a reminder, we've got a big, long list here that we heard about earlier from Mr. Foreman. So we'll just work through these, starting first with first reading of ordinance 210-2025, Annex 1, portion of TMS 600001028. That's on the west side of Highway 88.
I make a motion that we adopt first reading ordinance 02-10-2025, Annex 1, portion of TMS 600001028.
Second.
Motion on the table is to adopt first read of ordinance 210-2025, Annex 1, portion of TMS 600001028. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand, please. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item is first reading of ordinance. I tell you what, I move that we adopt first reading of ordinance 210-2025, Annex 2 portion of TMS 600001028.
Second.
Motion on the table is to adopt on first reading ordinance 210-2025, Annex 2 portion of TMS 600001028. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand, please. Those opposed? Motion carries. I move that we adopt on first read ordinance 10-2025, Annex 1 portion of parcel number 4074000052157. That's a tract on the south side of Highway 123.
Second.
Motion on the table is to adopt on first read ordinance 210-2025, Annex 1 portion parcel 4074000052157. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand, please. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
I make a motion that we adopt on first reading ordinance 02-10-2025, annex portion of parcel 4074000349720. That's the tract on the south side of 18 Mile Road.
Second.
Motion on the table is to adopt first reading of ordinance 210-2025, annex portion of parcel 4074000349720. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Raise your hand. Those opposed? Motion carries. I move that we adopt on first reading ordinance 210-2025, annex portion of parcel 4074000052157.
Second.
Motion is to adopt first reading ordinance 210-2025, annex portion of parcel 4074000052157. All those in favor, raise your right hand, please. Raise your hand, please. Those opposed? Motion carries. Next is, I move that we adopt on first reading ordinance 210-2025, annex portion of parcel 4074000349720.
Second.
Motion is to adopt first reading ordinance 210-2025 to annex portion of parcel 4074000349720. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand, please. Those opposed? Motion carries. I move that we adopt on first reading ordinance 210-2025-1, annex portion of parcel 4074000453058.
Second.
Motion on the table is to adopt first reading of ordinance 210-2025-1, annex portion of parcel 4074000453058. Any discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. I move we adopt on first read ordinance 210-2025-2, annex portion of parcel 4074000453058.
Second.
Motion on the table is to adopt first reading of ordinance 210-2025-2, annex portion of parcel 4074004533058. Any discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. I move that we adopt on first read ordinance 210-2025-1, annex portion of TMS 600001010, west side of Highway 88.
Second.
Motion on the table is to adopt first read ordinance 210-2025-1, annex portion of TMS 600001010. Any discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next is, I move that we adopt on first read ordinance 210-2025-2, annex portion of TMS 600001010.
Second.
Second.
Motion on the table is to adopt first reading of ordinance 210-2025-2, annex portion of TMS 600001010. Any discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. First reading, I move that we adopt on first reading ordinance 210-2025-1, annex parcel number 407400758412, tract on the south side of Highway 123.
Second.
Can I ask a question?
Please. We're in discussion phase.
That parcel number is different on the minutes and the actual ordinance. This one has 6-4 on it. I think it's supposed to be 7-4, but I'm just making sure.
Which number are you talking about?
11,
Okay, 407400758412, which numbers are wrong?
I think the plat or the parcel number on the ordinance itself is wrong. It says 4064.
Okay, so we just need to make that correction on the ordinance portion.
Yes.
Okay.
So just to be clear, we're talking about numbers ending 8412,
Yes.
and it is correct on the agenda, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. I move that we adopt on first read ordinance 210-2025-1, annex parcel 407400552043.
Second.
Second.
Motion on the table is to adopt on first read ordinance 210-2025, annex 1, annex parcel 407400552043. Any discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Cross-referencing here. I move that we adopt on first reading ordinance 210-2025-1, annex TMS number 600001005.
Second.
Motion on the table is to adopt first reading of ordinance 210-2025-1, annex TMS number 600001005. Any discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we are moving on to the next section of this process, which is to zone these properties. These are all first readings, first of two. So I will move to item number 1 on the zoning agenda, and I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we adopt first reading of ordinance 211-2025, portion of TMS 600001024 with PUD R as the zone.
In
2-8.
2-8.
Yes, sorry, did I say it wrong?
Yes.
No, made up a number.
Would you like to amend your motion?
I move or amend it so that the parcel number is 600001028.
Second.
The motion on the table is to adopt on first reading ordinance 211-2025 PZ portion of TMS 600001028 west side of Highway 88 to PUD R. Any discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. I will entertain further motions on zoning.
First reading of, I move that we adopt first reading of ordinance 2/11/2025, PZ portion of TMS 600001028, which is the west side of Highway 88, general commercial.
Second.
Motion on the table is to adopt first reading of ordinance 2/11/2025, PZ portion of TMS 600001028, west side of Highway 88, zoned to general commercial. Any discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
I move that we adopt first reading of ordinance 2/11/2025, PZ portion of parcel 407000052157, tract on the south side of Highway 123 as PUD R.
Second.
Motion on the table is to adopt on first reading ordinance 2/11/2025, PZ portion of parcel 407400052158, tract on the south side of Highway 123, zoned to PUD R. Any discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
I move that we adopt on first reading ordinance 2/11/2025, PZ portion of parcel 407400052157, tract on the south side of Highway 123 as general commercial.
Second.
That motion is to adopt on first reading ordinance 2/11/2025, PZ portion of parcel number 407400052157, tract on the south side of Highway 123 to general commercial. Any discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. I move that we adopt on first reading ordinance 2/11/2025, PZ portion of parcel 407400349720, tract on the south side of 18 Mile Road to general commercial.
Second.
Motion on the table is to adopt first reading of ordinance 2/11/2025, PZ portion of parcel 407400349720, tract on the south side of 18 Mile Road to general commercial. Any discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries.
I move that we adopt first reading of ordinance 2/11/2025, BC, that was a P, PZ portion of parcel 407400349720, tract south side of 18 Mile Road to PUD R.
I'll second that motion. Motion on the table is to adopt first reading of ordinance 2/11/2025, PZ portion of parcel number 407400349720. That's a tract on the south side of 18 Mile Road to PUD R. Any discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
I move that we adopt first reading of ordinance 2/11/2025, PZ portion of parcel 407400453058, tract south side 18 Mile Road to general commercial.
Second.
Motion on the table is to adopt first reading of ordinance 2/11/2025, PZ portion of parcel number 407400453058, tract on the south side of 18 Mile Road to general commercial. Any discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
I move that we adopt first reading of ordinance 2/11/2025, PZ portion of parcel 407400453058, tract south side of 18 Mile Road, PUD R.
Second.
Motion on the table is to adopt first reading of ordinance 2/11/2025, PZ portion of parcel number 407400453058, tract on south side of 18 Mile Road to PUD R. Any discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. I move that we adopt on first reading ordinance 2/11/2025, PZ portion of TMS number 60001010, west side of Highway 88 to PUD R.
Second.
Motion on the table is to adopt on first reading ordinance 2/11/2025, PZ portion of TMS number 60001010, that is the west side of Highway 88 to PUD R. Any discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries.
I move that we adopt first reading of ordinance 2/11/2025, PZ portion of TMS 60001010 on the west side of Highway 88 to general commercial.
Second.
Point of order, is that the one we just previously did?
No.
Okay,
No, Mr. Mayor.
okay, just making sure. Motion on the table is to adopt first reading of ordinance 2/11/2025, PZ portion of TMS 60001010, west side of Highway 88 to general commercial. Any discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries.
One was for PUD R, one was for general commercial.
Thank you.
So that's why it was
Thank you.
same number but partial portion.
I move that we adopt first reading of ordinance 2/11/2025, PZ parcel 407400758412, tract on the south side of Highway 123 as PUD R.
Second.
Motion on the table is to adopt first reading of ordinance 2/11/2025, PZ parcel number 407400758412, tract on the south side of Highway 123 to PUD R. Any discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
I move that we adopt on first reading ordinance 2/11/2025, PZ parcel 407400552043, south side of 18 Mile Road to general commercial.
Second.
Motion on the table is to adopt first reading of ordinance 2/11/2025, PZ parcel number 407400552043, south side of 18 Mile Road to general commercial. Any discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Finally, I move that we adopt first reading of ordinance 2/11/2025, PZ TMS number 60001005, west side of 18 Mile Road, as general commercial.
Second.
Motion is to adopt first reading of ordinance 211-2025, PZ TMS number 6000001005, west side of 18 Mile Road as general commercial. Any discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving on to reports. Mr. Administrator?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Just want to let you know that the Pickens County Municipal Association will start back in February. They're not having one in January. Did want to touch on the ice and snow event that we had last week. Want to thank the fire department, the police department, and public works for kind of getting the town ready and the police and fire being on call during that time. We kind of felt like there wasn't much of an event because Helena had come in and cleaned out pretty much anything that might have been a problem. So I think part of that was due to Helena coming in earlier in the year. The water project on Brock Street, we did get the DOT encroachment permit today. That's a big thing when we're looking at doing a water project, is getting the encroachment permit from DOT. So we're hoping to start construction down there this summer. I'll keep you up to speed as to what the timetable is, but the encroachment permit is a big deal. It always takes a lot of filling out a bunch of paperwork, and then it sits on DOT's desk whenever they get around to doing whatever they do. But we do have it in hand. The council retreat that we do every year is going to be at the March work session. So I'll bring that up again in February, but kind of want to give you a heads up on that, okay? So I think we're going to have breakfast again. We'll have breakfast for you, so we'll be able to have a meal, so you can come have a meal, and then we'll have the retreat. All right? Any questions from council or the mayor?
Will we have chocolate cake also?
I am sure we will.
Okay. Let the minutes show.
All right. All right, thank you.
And that's Monday the 3rd?
Yes.
Okay. What else needs to be done on the solar panels? It's on my section here, but what?
Mr. Mayor, you just need to make a motion to direct the administrator to, because this is not in the budget, it's not a budget item or something we're adding, creating to the budget, is to direct the administrator to move forward with purchasing and getting the solar panels installed.
What I would like to do is make a motion that would authorize the administrator to get a proposed contract.
Okay.
That we can look at before final voting on that. So that's my motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion on the table is to authorize the administrator to get a proposed contract for the installation of solar panels at Town Hall. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'm not opposed to this. I just would like a little bit more information, especially information from Duke Energy, about some of the pricing that they may have going out into the future that might make. So I was prepared to vote no on it or to ask it to be tabled, but let me understand, since you're asking for a contract, that means we aren't voting on it now.
Correct.
We'll get a contract and then vote on that.
Yeah, I worded that specifically so that we
Okay.
can take a look at that and decide at another time whether to grant final.
I also am of the opinion that that's a lot of money to spend, and at this point, I'm more inclined to spend money toward, retaining Mr. Foreman more and getting more help and making sure that, the developments are up to code and doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Okay.
And I second that.
Okay. Any further discussion on that? So just to be clear, the motion on the table is to authorize the administrator to work with the vendor to provide a written contract that we could then review and vote on for final approval at a future time. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Pursuant to South Carolina Code of Law, Section 30-4-70A1, Legal Issues, Section 30-4-70A2, I move that we go into executive session to discuss a personnel and contractual matter.
Second.
Motion on the table is to go into executive session to discuss personnel matter and a contractual matter. Any discussion? Those in favor? And we are in recess.
I know we're barred, see if we can get them up. Somebody going down.
Yes.
reason it's like that, because I took it because we had training at Station Two. Really, showed her.
We have just much incentive, existing residents have an incentive to keep us on the radar. No, we don't want the residents to move in and just, drive into school every day or work and be like, we designed this, I mean, we really want there to be a well thought out plan that takes everything into account in the proper time. It is a long-term plan though. Yeah, try to bring everybody to the table, and it's a big table apparently.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
Because we were 15, but then, when they done it, but then y'all were in the thing, or you said you had a dog.
The magnitude of that is not lost on me, though. I'm not, born and raised, living Higgins, or, well, I love her. But what I say, she's acting as though this was.
You ain't seen none yet.
She said, yeah. That's crazy.
That's one.
Oh, it's crazy. Hey, walking around